to look at this, in particular, but also macro here. Joel, good to have you here. What do you make of President Biden's 2024 strategy that, he contrasts himself with Trump? He frames this in historical terms because voters, and they tend to prioritize the economy, abortion, border security. Do speeches about democracy, do they pop with voters?
Well, Chance, they are pulling high right now, these speeches, these questions about democracy. And it's really great that we're having this discussion because this is an existential discussion in many ways, this election coming up in November in 24. The question of democracy is not theoretical. We have seen time and again Americans losing their rights under decisions made by the Supreme Court that was appointed by Donald Trump. We've seen Donald Trump attempt to deny time and again the legitimate results of the election loss that he suffered in 2020. And so for Americans to know that we have a government that represents us, it is legitimate, that's essential to having anything regarding prosperity and safety and security here in the United States. And so I think that's why President Biden is going to lean in on this. It polls well. It's done well over the past year in different referenda and different elections and midterm elections. And it's going to keep on doing well for him if he faces Donald Trump.
You've been involved in campaigns. You do not send any candidate, much less a president, out to a site to do a marquee speech willy-nilly. So President Biden, as we said, he went to this site of this tragedy, American tragedy, this racist massacre.
Yeah.
At the site, though, he's also hammering his political opponent. Is that appropriate? If, let's say, President Biden decided, I'm going to go to the Walmart in El Paso, where a gunman murdered Hispanics for being Hispanic, to then campaign for the Latino vote and bash a competitor, is that appropriate?
Chance, I think Americans are ready for hard truths. I think that we have to be honest and straightforward about what is at stake, not just in this coming election, but right now, here in front of us. From a Democratic perspective, there's a lot of frustration when, for example, there are mass shootings. And the moments after the mass shooting, Republicans who oppose gun control say, oh, now's not the time. We need thoughts and prayers, and that's it. And so for Democrats, we say, no, this is exactly the time. This is when we need to take action. We need to take action when there's a crisis and not look away. And so I think for Joe Biden, he's not looking away. He's going right into the places that are the most sensitive places, as you described, this site of this horrific hate crime, a massacre of Black people at church by a white supremacist. And he's saying this is what's at stake in this election. And it's the kind of straight talk that people pay attention to. And this is when they think about what's at stake in this election. That's why he's going there. I think it's a good move.
We have about 45 seconds, Joel. So put this in concrete terms, what you just said. What exactly is the president vowing he and Democrats will do? Because, let's set aside Donald Trump. Critics will, of course, point out Charleston happened while Joe Biden was vice president. And we've seen a growing number of anti-Semitic and anti-Asian incidents over the past 3 years while it's been the Biden administration. So what can Democrats then promise to minority voters?
What they can promise and what we are promising is that we will be fighting for them, and that there are bad things that are happening, as you just described. And I'm a Jewish American, and I have seen the rise in anti-Semitism, and it's frightening. But what I also see is the president in the White House with the strategy to counter anti-Semitism, who's speaking out against it, who's not both sidesing it as Donald Trump was, and is standing up for me and standing up for people of all diversity here in the United States. And that's what we'll see in this candidate in November.
Joel Rubin, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here.